Yo, what's up, y'all? You are now tuned into another episode of the podcast with Tigmatic. Happy Monday, folks. Hey, we're here, episode 90. 10 more to a being. We are almost on it. 100 episodes. Hey, listen, I hope y'all feeling good today. In North Carolina, it's a little rainy, and that's okay. But listen, my guest is here, and y'all know the vibes. Same as usual. Sit back, listen to the tunes, and we'll be back.
If I kept a penny from every time you told a lie, I'd be rich. If there were no sunlight to wake me up in the morning and I miss my day, you'd be the one to blame. I spend almost every day with you and still feel lonely. Boy, I cook for you, clean up, rearrange the room, dressed up. You don't even notice. Feeling like you're always just a beat behind my heart. You never seem to pick up the pace. Am I just imagining you and I've never been? Don't tell me this is all in my head. I'm in love alone. I feel I'm in this thing on my own. You're standing right there, but you're oh so gone. Facing the fact I'm in love alone. In love alone. If I kept a teardrop every time you made me cry, who'd survive? It seems like every day you're back and forth, you're in and out, we're going down. Love shouldn't be this way. My mind's playing tricks on me, writing scripts and shit, telling my heart don't believe what my conscience said. These ain't good butterflies, I'm angry, got me all anxious. I know I've wasted my time being patient. I'm feeling like you're always just a beat behind my heart. You never seem to pick up the pace. Am I just imagining you and I've never been? Don't on my own. You're standing right there, but you're oh so gone. Facing the fact I'm in love alone, in love alone.
I know you're tired of me playing around. I think it's time for us to settle down. But it's on me to be a man of me, yeah. And let you know I'm serious. I hope you really know what I feel. I know I mess up, baby, that's for sure. I don't need you walking out that front door. You ain't leave me. Please believe in me, yeah. And I'ma show you love like you never felt before. Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? Would you mind if I iced you? I wanna rush, but I want you, baby. Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? Would you mind if I iced you, baby? Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? How many carats do you want your ring? Just answer, would I give you anything? Give you everything that you ever asked. Don't judge me by my past, cause I'ma make it better, baby. I know I mess up, baby, that's for sure. I don't need you walking out that front door. You ain't leave me. Please believe in me, yeah. And I'ma show you love like you never felt before. Would you mind if I wiped you? What if I wiped you? Would you mind if I iced you? I wanna rush, but I want you, baby. Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? Would you mind if I iced you? Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? If you don't mind, I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Would you mind if I wiped you? Would you mind if I iced you, baby? I wanna rush, but I want you, baby. But would you mind if I wiped you, baby? Would you mind if I iced you, baby? Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? Don't leave, don't leave. I'm begging you, please. Oh, said I'll give you everything that you want, yeah. Oh, would you mind if I iced you, baby? Would you mind if I wiped you, baby? I'm all about you right now. And you know what, man? Listen. Just listen to me. Now, I've been playing a field, baby, for a while. It's just the same thing every night at different place.
All right, folks, we're here. And if you like those videos, that was singer Rosie Bonds in the first song, country song, In Love Alone, and legendary singer Corey Williams, Wife You. All right, folks, I'm here with my guest. She is here. She is a doctor, and she's here to talk about mental health and your regular health. So let's get into it. I have Dr. Pat Boulogne. How you doing?
Okay.
All right.
I did it without screwing it
Yeah.
up. Electronics and me are not friends.
So, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm having this is the end of a big, long day for me. And so I'm glad to share time, share some wisdom, share some humor, and share, how you can uplift, your life, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and maybe even financial.
Hey, and that's what we're here for. This is what the show is about. And I'm happy to have you here. So, you already know how the show goes. You watch. And I thank you for that. I get to thank you for that personally on air. Thank you for watching. But also, you know how the show goes. So give yourself a formal introduction like only you can.
You're supposed to do that.
I'm going to read a bit, but I still like my guests to give their own introduction with their own twist.
Oh, okay. Of course. Well, my name's Dr. Pat Boulogne, and I am a author, best-selling author, doctor. I help people fix their lives by improving their habits, their happiness, and their health. Because when you have what I call those three pieces there, you can have anything that you want, anything that your heart desires. So that's a little bit about me and what my belief system is, because I know you're going to say, I gave you a sheet, so I know you're going to say some other things about me. But it's just like, I care about people, and I care, and I love to see people do well, do good, have fun, and thrive, because you should be able to live your life unapologetically.
All right. So, folks, I'm going to read a bit of a message from Dr. Pat. Okay? So stick with me, folks. And here we go. A message from Dr. Pat. Many times we just don't know if our organs are functioning at 100%. And we know that being healthy is more than just the absence of any disease or sickness. Let's get a better sense of you and how you are handling your immediate environment. It is so easy to get accustomed to thinking that my age, it's my lot in life, my genetics, and it's just the way it is. This costs you time, and that is something you cannot make up or have enough of. Once it happens, it is gone, and you are left with a memory or regret. So let's see if you should pay more attention now. Check in with yourself and get a sense if something in your health may be going on with your bottom line. And look at getting back to the basics. All right. So that's a small excerpt, but you want to break that down a bit, Doc?
Of course I do. When you understand, a lot of people never pay attention to their health. They pay attention to, like, I want, or I need, but they really don't know what they want and what they need, because the sole basis of, like mindset and mindset mastery and that type of thing in health, is having a robust health, because with your health, you can do a lot of different things, and also having a fine tune and balance with, for instance, like that mindset that I always talk about. So, when you have that piece of the puzzle. You have a foundation that you can build upon, so that when you hit a issue or hit a time that things are not balanced in your life, you have sustainability. And the only way you're going to create that sustainability is by what you choose to put in your mouth. And so
That's
it's
right.
important that you have to choose wisely, because the gut brain connection, is significant, and they talk to each other. I go the gut face. You can see emotions. You can see what you do. You can see everything on someone's face. I mean, maybe you've never had this experience, and maybe you have, but someone's walked up to you and just saying like, "Wow, are you feeling okay?"
Yeah.
You had that because there's something that's going on, that's your expression, and your that energy is being exuded through your cells and your pores, and how you're presenting. So in some of my background as a lifestyle medicine strategist and a functional medicine doctor, and like in chiropractor and sports physician, and all those accolades that anyone can find out, just look up my name. You can find it out. It's just that one of the things that I always see as a common denominator is that people think they have more time, and they don't, because time is finite. So you have this
Absolutely.
very, very, very prescribed time, and you can't make it up.
Can't.
And it's just like I asked my grandmother one time, what can you tell me? She was 80 years old. And I said, what can you tell me about, getting older? And she said, say whatever's on your mind then, because she goes, when you get a chance to do it, nobody's listening. That was her sense of humor. But
Yeah.
it's, and she always had these like really wonderful, like, like I do it. I recently haven't done it for a couple of days, and I'm very congested sounding, I'm sure. But she used to have 3 walnuts every day and 1 clementine every day.
Mm.
And I never remember my grandmother being sick. And so there's a lot to be said about how you do, what you think, how you motivate yourself, and how you are with other people, to be able to have a better expression, and to have a better self-worth of each other too.
Oh, that's awesome. And I gotta share something. My wife, she goes crazy over mixed nuts and things like that.
Mhm.
And she makes me eat it. And at first, I couldn't stand it. But I
Mhm.
understand now. I understand the purpose of eating more healthy. I was a sugar crazed guy at one point, and then I was told I was pre-diabetic. And they told
Mhm.
me, hey, lose the weight, work out, you can reverse this situation real quick, and eat healthy. And I did
Mhm.
just that, and it happened. So I can understand the importance of being healthy. So here's a question that I want to ask. How does functional medicine address root causes of health issues compared to traditional medicine?
Well, traditional medicine would say something like, tell me what's wrong with you, as if you're supposed to know, right? And then they talk about the symptom. They don't talk about you or why you have it. So for instance, there's 1/3 of the population is pre-diabetic, and they don't
Right.
know it. It's not something that's kind of like, hey, I'm pre-diabetic, and in people who are diabetic, it's almost like when someone is diabetic, it's almost like a badge of honor in the United States.
Yes, it is.
And and a lot of it's just that functional medicine part looks at the individual's bio-individuality, and looks at the person, and how
Right.
you're functioning in your environment. So that's a huge piece of that, is to understand it. And when you do, you can have better expression of health, because health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmities. Just because you don't have a symptom doesn't mean you're healthy.
Right.
And sometimes when you have a system, or when you have a cold, I don't look at it as being sick. I look at it as an expression of health, because my body's functioning in the way that it's meant to be.
Right.
And so, because you want it to react. I just had a big exposure to a lot of dust, and so it made me so congested. But something like, oh, you're sick. I said, no, I'm not sick. And I said, I'm having a reaction to something, and I need to honor my body's process to to getting rid of it, because that's what it's supposed to do. If it doesn't, I die. When we'd all die, when that doesn't happen. So there's a lot of they say in the year 2030 that 50% of the population in the United States is going to have some chronic illness or disease. Do you know what chronic illness and disease have in common?
What's that, Doc?
Inflammation.
Inflammation.
And
I had a
inflammation.
feeling he was going to say inflammation.
It is. It's true. It's just so you're thinking well, what can I do? I mean, to get rid of inflammation in my body, stop eating crap food. Stop eating things that have sugar in them. Any words that have OL in it, in the ingredient list, you have to be careful.
Absolutely. How important is working out and diet? Break that down a bit.
I'm just going to tell you can't out-exercise a bad diet. And that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
I love your humor, Doc. Hey, folks, listen. Since the first time Dr. Pat and I met, she's been having me cracking up.
Well,
she's very funny.
Well, I've been told I've been funny. I have a good sense of humor, because I we need to laugh. We don't laugh enough. I mean, I don't know, I've traveled a lot, and what I see, when I travel abroad, is that people are social, they're laughing, and I don't really see that as much as I see in the States. And I see in the States are much more serious, and so I like to I have an excuse sense of humor. When I look at am I looking at a glass half empty, or if I'm looking at a glass half full? And my answer all the time is I'm looking at the glass full.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your book. What made you write this book? Why are you sick, fat, and tired? And what was the state of mind behind this book?
Well, one of the reasons I wrote this book is because someone told me I was going to write a book. This is a true story. I was at a friend of mine was visiting town, and was a VP in this insurance agency. And so I met her in Boston at her event, and she got me this ticket so I could go into the venues and walk around and hang out. And so there was a woman who I met there who had this experience with this guy who was reading palms, and I was thinking okay. But she had a really traumatic story. I mean, it's just so she bought into the belief system of what this guy told her. And, it's so when you buy into the self-fulfilling prophecy, a lot of times that comes true. That's why saying affirmations in a way that's in first person, as if it already happened, like I am healthy, vital, active, successful human being, it is very, very different than, saying I want to be healthy. Everyone wants to be healthy. Very few people go oh, no, I don't want that. But people want to be healthy. And I think that piece of, how I ended up writing that book is I was walking around Boston. I mean, that happened. And then I was walking around Boston, and I was really looking at people like nobody's home, like nobody. And I would ask people are you okay? Remember I just talked about reading your face. Are you okay? And they're going, yeah, why? And just so you just look so far gone, like you're way out there. And so what I realized is there were so many people that were sick and didn't know it. I never lived in a big city before. I lived on Cape Cod for 10 years in this quintessential, Cape Cod area that had, some of the best beaches other than North Carolina. And so I had these interactions, and I was very, very satisfied with where I lived, but I wanted to have more. And so I moved to Boston, and I saw sick people everywhere. And so then I also read at the same time, this is a scary story. I read at the same time a report from the CDC, and I always preface this as when they were telling the truth, because hang on one second.
Need that sip of water.
I gotta have my water, especially today. Um, and so, what I saw, in this article, it said that out of 200, there's 212 potentially dangerous chemicals in every person that was tested for, um, their blood and their urine were tested. And I went like, wow, people are sick and they don't know it. We're drinking things
Right.
like tap water, right? You should never drink tap water. I mean, tap water, most tap water in the United States has atrazine in it. And what atrazine does is it changes the sex of the frogs, basically.
Mhm.
So
So
it makes
even
them.
so, not to cut you off, Doc, and I want you to continue, but I have this question on my mind right now while you're saying that about tap water. So, is it even harmful to have the water filters on the faucet and still drink?
I think you got to pick your water filter very carefully. And so, one of the reasons why I picked zero water filters, and I'm not putting a plug in for them one way or another, but you need to do your research, is
Right.
because there's total dissolved solids in water, like plastics, and other chemicals that are heavier that are just floating around. And you look at a glass of water and can't tell, right? You know,
Right.
but they have monitors that you can put in the water that tells you how many dissolved solids there are. You shouldn't have anything over 0.006 in your drinking water. And if you go and buy one of these things for $8 on Amazon, you might as well spend the next $12 and buy yourself a 7-cup zero water filter system. And then you can go test your water, because even water, someone goes, oh, I've got filtered water coming out of my refrigerator, and it's just like, and we tested it and it was 271 TDSs out of their particular refrigerator.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And
That's
so
crazy.
there's, you want water that tastes fresh and that's clean and that's good for you, and in most, all tap water has fluorine in it and chlorine. Sometimes you can pour water. I mean, especially if you're in New Jersey. I mean, I remember being in New Jersey, I'm going like, and tasting it. I said, it tasted like I was drinking metal, and I was like, this
Yeah.
can't, I had to figure out, this is before they were selling bottles of water. I told my girlfriend, I said, we have to go someplace else and get water because I
Yeah,
couldn't.
we see a
I
lot of
couldn't do
class action suits going on
it.
over the water being contaminated in a bunch of cities right now.
Look at what happened to Flint. I mean, it's just like nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention.
Right.
So water is crucial for every function in your body. You need it to cleanse your brains when you go to sleep at night. You need it to hydrate your joints and your muscles. You need it for your skin. You need it. It's just like it's important. Our bodies are made up of 70% water or something, some number right around there.
Right.
And so I think it's important to really pay attention to hydration because it'll help you sleep better. And help you flush out toxins out of your system and that type of thing. But water everywhere, never drop to drink.
So, how do you define success in a way that aligns with well-being and health?
Well, you've got to define what success means to you to begin with. And so to me, being successful in health is that, I'm 70 years old. And so at 70 years old, I've just been picked up to do a photo shoot for a photo shoot in New York City. And I wasn't trying. I just kind of like, oh, I'll laugh. I entered this thing and they sent a picture and they just went, we definitely want to talk to you. And I'm talking to this guy on the phone and he said to me, and he goes, I said, in that picture you're looking at, and I said, I'm 70 years old. And he just was like, wow, we definitely want to talk to you. I mean, because people don't take care of themselves. And if they don't eat well, if they don't have a balance, and I mean balance and harmony type foods, because what you eat, you are what you eat.
You are what you
the
eat.
ability to
That's
absorb.
right.
So you really got to look at what am I eating? How is this combining with the other foods that I'm eating? And some cultures are better at making sure the chemistry of the foods that you're eating is better for you. So they have that protein, they have that fat, they have that carbohydrate.
Right. So let's bounce around a bit.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Where are you originally from?
Detroit.
What was growing up in Detroit like?
Well, it was a suburb. In what way? I mean, that's a pretty vague question.
Like what was growing up as a kid, your experience of the city, whether it was the suburbs or not. What was growing up like?
It was, I come from a family of 5, and when I grew up, I didn't have anybody to play with except for boys. And so I was a big tomboy. So I could play football, basketball, baseball,
Oh, so you were
ride
athletic.
bikes, jump off of cliffs, and things like that when I was a kid. So and we played in the streets until like 10 o'clock at night. I mean,
Oh,
it's
that's
just like,
awesome.
but you could hear, everyone could hear their mother call them, from like miles away,
Yeah.
and you knew when they got to your middle name that you should just never come home anyway.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's just,
That
it's
means
like,
it's too late, and you might get that beaten.
yeah, yeah, it's just like, my father was always, he was very, he was really ahead of his time in some ways because, he would, like if he was mad, all he had to do, he didn't never raise his voice. He just had this kind of thing, like he just tapped on his belt buckle. So,
Right.
and so it's just like, and you're thinking, we don't want to go that far, that kind of thing. And he was always, like when I did something, he would always ask me, why did I do it? And what did I learn? And so like when I stole someone's dog, this, and I like a block behind me and in the middle of the next block. I liked the dog. It was so beautiful. So went in the backyard, opened the door up, and they took the dog with me and took it home. And he said, "Where'd you get the dog?" And he said, "It's not your dog. People are looking for this dog. They're going to be upset." And so he made me take it back.
Mm.
And he came with me, and so when I went to go take it back and knocked on the door and I said, "I have your dog." And he's like, "Oh, thank you very much." And I just remember this scene very well because and my father just, and I said, "I'm really sorry." I said, "I really liked your dog so much. I just wanted to take him home." So they said, instead of getting mad at me, they said, "Well, you can come over and play with them anytime." But I was so embarrassed. I never went back. So, and my father goes, "What did you learn about that?" And just so you can't take things that belong to other people.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
It's just one of those like little stories. I mean, I have tons of them, but that's just one of those stories.
Seems like you had a lot of structure, Doc.
I did. I was very fortunate. I went to a private parochial school, so I went to a Catholic school, and and it's just we just had a different. I mean, what I remember about Detroit as a young kid, it's like at Christmas time, Henry Ford had a place called the Rotunda, and at the Rotunda, every kid in Detroit was invited to come to the Rotunda and get a Christmas present. And
So
it
let's
was
talk
like
about
all these like wonderful Christmas decorations and, those statues with like ice skaters doing whirly things, and stuff like this. And you walk through
yeah.
to see this wonderful display. And the Ford family and Ford Foundation, made sure there was gifts for every kid in the whole area. I always like, and when it burned down, everyone was so depressed. So it's like, where's
I
my
can
next gift
imagine.
coming from? But it was always age appropriate. Little girls, like 10 years old or 5 years old, like little boys, stuff like that. Everyone got something they walked out with.
Oh man, that's awesome. So, how does unaddressed trauma manifest in physical health? And how can one begin to heal?
Well, one of the things I work with people is I work with people doing a technique called NET. It's called neuroemotional technique, right? NET. And what people hear things. People hear their parents argue about money. People have, somebody who molested them. People have, like near chance, things like, falling out of a tree or sliding down a tree. I've done that before, by the way. And what happens is that we take those experiences and we bury them somewhere in our body. There's always that weak link. And every time you have those emotions or that that type of thing come up, you have a memory. So there's 3 brains in the body. There's the primitive brain, the one that is like fight or flight, like just step on your brakes when someone pulls out in front of you, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then there's the mammalian brain, and the mammalian brain is important because it stores every emotion, everything that's ever happened to you. It kind of tells you what to do and what to expect when something like that ever happens again. And then you have your conscious brain, which is what we're talking about and what we're using right now to have this conversation.
Absolutely.
So I always have great experiences on podcasts. Here's your example. And so I don't have, my expectation is this is going to be a great experience also. And it is. Because
And
you're a great you're a great podcaster, and you're nearing on your 100th, podcast too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
10 more away.
But those 3 brains are important because it stores things in. So sometimes, you're thinking like, oh, why is it that I always, have this black cloud around me? Well, because every time that something happens, instead of changing the message that the mammalian brain is giving your body, it's not changing it. So instead of saying like, oh, I missed the train, I'm having a horrible day. Why don't you say like, well, I got up this morning, I had the nicest cup of coffee and time by myself for 10 minutes. It was fantastic. Because when you say that, your conscious brain tells your mammalian brain to change that message. So it's not negative. And, and we all know people who say that they're not negative and they're toxic. I mean, let's be real.
There's a lot of us that do that. That is true.
All you have to do is have a family.
A lot of the time you won't find out until they unleash that mask and you see who they are.
Yeah, it's just like, and toxic people need to go out of your life. It's just like, and if they're a family member, you just push them back. I mean, not like physically push them back, but, push their energy back, because, you can't offer any rental space in your brain for people who don't deserve it.
Yes, it'll give you high anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a true believer of that.
Depression, all sorts of stuff, and so, I just think that, when you understand a little bit more, and when I work with people in that regard, a lot of times, there's the questioning, back and forth will end up, all of a sudden, because I'm feeling a lot of resistance, and sometimes having those conversations, I just go, who do I remind you of now? And I go, your mother, your father, or the person who's toxic. And because I don't care if I remind them of their mother or their father or the person that's toxic. I care that they realize, because when they have that realization, they elevate their consciousness to going like, oh yeah, you know what? I don't have to react like that, and it's just like, we have so many people in this day and time that are so over empathetic, and they've been conditioned by the media. They can go like, oh my God, this horrible thing that happened, this horrible thing that happened, this horrible thing that happened. And so you start absorbing that horrible thing that happens and you're sick. Somebody once said to me, you have to, as a doctor, you have to be very careful when you're dealing with patients so you don't get what they have, and it's true, because there's times when I first started practice that I went home, I'm going like, oh, my back, because I'm primarily as a chiropractor. It's like, oh, my back, it's really tight, and moving it around. And then, when I realized, like, when I listen to somebody at a distance, and with respect, so that they could express what's going on with them, so they didn't have to carry it around for the rest of their freaking life. I mean, there's no necessity to carry bad garbage around with you, because it will eat you up, literally and figuratively. And you don't want that to happen. And why would you give somebody that much satisfaction?
That's right.
Right. So someone doesn't like you. Thank you. I go, you guys got them giving me, rental space for somebody else. Bye. Yeah.
That's
and,
right. Kingdom of Signs says, the people watching, Kingdom of Signs says, amen, feed the mind with positivity.
I just saw that. I was like looking at you and not looking at the bottom line. But it is, you have to feed, you have to, like, you are what you think.
That's
you
right.
know, and you will become what you think. If you want other people who think on a higher level and consciousness, then you have to think on that higher level too. And when you can,
You went out, Doc. Doc. I'm sorry. You went out somehow. There you go. I'm trying to unmute you. I think you did it on your end.
holy baloney. I did that. I don't think this is how powerful this is because I didn't touch my computer. So I have no clue how that happened. But it did. So we'll just move forward with that and just say it's one of those woo moments that we don't want to even think about explaining.
Yeah. Sometimes they can be at play trying to get these healthy words out for the people.
Mhm.
And I understand that a lot because it happens a lot when there are positive people coming on the show. So here's my next question. What role does self-care play in mental health recovery, and how do you suggest balancing it with professional responsibilities?
Well, let's ask me the first part of that question again.
What role does self-care play in mental health recovery?
It's huge. You know, just that alone increases your self-confidence, you know, and that, you know, my father always had this like one line. I always say things that my father always said to me. And I always say he was ahead of his time, right? He always said, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of somebody else. That
That's
level of
right.
self-love that you show yourself is respect. You know, so if that means like, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that's crucial. And the next part of that question?
The next part of the question is, how do you suggest balancing it with professional responsibilities?
And what do you mean by professional responsibilities?
Your job.
Okay, got it. So, having harmony and balance is one thing because you can have harmony, but you might not be balanced. And you could have balance and you might not have harmony. But the idea is to create a sustainable situation mentally, physically for yourself so
Right.
that you can work with, you know, like if so it doesn't delete from your career, your relationships, and your life. You know, so it's just creating and being able to say no. I mean, somebody asks you to do something, you know, and your gut instinct is like, it's not because, you know, it's not my job. You know, it's just like, it's not because, you know, it's just like, you know, I don't feel like doing it. But if you sit there and you talk to your real true self, then it's just like, then you can answer from that point of view, you know, and
Right.
as you say, like, you know what, I would love to do that for you. I just don't have the bandwidth right now.
Right. And I agree with you there because it's okay to say no to things. And people shouldn't feel pressure to have to do things.
Well, I'm a
And there
yes
shouldn't be
person.
any manipulation tactics behind it either.
Yeah, but I'm a yes person. I think you should say yes to everything, especially, you know, and the reason for that is because yes is such a higher energy level. And so if somebody asks you, do you want to, you know, like as long as it's not anything dangerous for you, you
Yeah.
know, I think if it's yes and you have the capacity and the time and the space, do it. You know, somebody said, you want to go to Europe? And I said, I don't have any money. See the negativity in that? And I just went like, I go, well, I think I'm going to go to Europe. You know, I'll figure it out. You
Right.
know, and it's just like and that. I did that when I was in school and had absolutely no money, and when I was in chiropractic school because all my loans were all tied up with school, and you weren't supposed to use them for other things. But you
Right.
know, it's just like I went and I was there for. I don't, you know, thinking like, wow, how did I do that for 3 weeks? You know,
Right.
and being there when I was on my break. Of course, I didn't tell my parents where I was at because I knew that would be cut. My father would say, if you can afford to go to Europe, then you don't need any money for school. You know, so it's just, that was a secret trip.
Yeah. That's awesome. You
Mhm.
know, I agree with you there. But, you know, when you said that, it reminded me of the movie Yes Man
I don't know that
with Jim
movie.
Carrey.
Oh man, I don't know that movie. I love Jim Carrey, But
Okay, so I'll break it down a bit. Jim Carrey was his role in this movie. He was a guy who was basically afraid to do anything, and he was always a no guy to life. A woman he liked, asking her out, anything. So his friend took him to like this meeting with a speaker. He was a motivational speaker, and he basically was like, "Listen, pledge to saying yes for 90 days." And he had to do that. He joined the course, and that was a part of, the part of doing the course. Anything that he was asked, he had to say yes to. And he found out that saying yes was better for him. And it worked out for him in his favor because his job was the way he wanted it to be. He met the woman of his dreams, and life was overall better for him. So, yeah, I use that as an example, and I say that because I agree with you. It is easier to say yes.
I used to have a necklace that said, I've been looking to replace this heart because I lost it at one point in time. It just says "say yes," and my friend said, "Why do you do that?" Because it's psychometric. And it's like somebody, like they use this a lot in advertising, so they give you psychometric words. So like when you get done, you're like when someone's singing, like humming a tune, right? That or a there's a place on Cape Cod called Clancy's Clam Bar. Those Clancy's Clam Bar, 1-800. Those kind of things. Those are psychometric things. So you think about them over and over again. Or you say there's an image and a word together, and so it ties in that image and that word so that you always think of that one specific thing. When you see that, and then years later, because I haven't lived on Cape Cod since 2010, I still can sing that song, Clancy's Tan Bar, 1-800, that kind of thing. And now, I never actually pursued singing and being a doctor. Most good thing for me.
Hey, listen, you do a better job at medicine. So let's talk about how you got into wanting to be a chiropractor.
What made me want to be a chiropractor?
Yes, what made you want to be a chiropractor?
I worked at the University of Michigan Hospital as the patient relations advocate when I was in college. And a friend of mine went to chiropractic school, and he said, you should go. In fact, everybody that I studied with when I was in school, because I naturally gravitated towards science type classes, they all became chiropractors. And so, it was kind of funny, like this group, nobody talked, said hey, I'm going to go become a chiropractor. But my one friend said, you should go. And I have to say that when I worked as a volunteer, it was under a work study for my program that I was in, that, it's just I never saw anybody well. And the only place that people were happy at the University of Michigan Hospital at that time was in the maternity ward. And so I'd go around and say, hey, my name's Patricia, and I am, a patient relations advocate. I'm just here to check, they would check in and say what, there's their first day there. Did you forget anything? Did you forget a comb, a brush? And I would organize getting those things for that person. And, I just never saw it in it. And then I was waiting on tables also at the time and at a restaurant. And I hurt my shoulder, and I went in to go see a chiropractor because I thought, well, maybe I should go check it out. So 2 people go, you should go see a chiropractor. I went and see this chiropractor, and I couldn't stand him. And I thought, man, if he can do it, so can I. And I said, he has no people skills and such. So I did this pivot of 180, and I applied for school, and I never looked back. I love helping people. Awesome. Have that better expression of themselves and better expression, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the whole thing. It's because it's not just, I'm not treating just even for the traditional medicines, treating the symptom. I'm treating you. That's a huge difference. Mentally, your body, yes. Spiritually.
So give the people good tips on having great posture. And how important it is.
Structure is function. If you don't have good structure, you're never going to have good function. That's, you got to think about it. If you if everybody who's like, on this or watching this takes a screenshot of themselves right now, they can see if they're leaning in to the camera, and they can look at their posture. Is there one shoulder higher than the other? In that type of thing.
Right.
But posture is crucial because when you were sitting, like you're sitting here and I'm sitting here, and like my muscles are working in my body to keep my body in this position.
Right.
And so, and then you ever see, like, try carrying a book on your head? Have you done that in a long time?
Yes.
Try to put a book on top of your head and see how long it stays there, and then walk with it on. It's just like, I know that when I demonstrate that, I immediately even go up higher, and when I do that, it elongates my neck,
Right.
puts my shoulders back, and that type of thing. It's good.
Right. So that's a great tip. What are some other tips?
50% of your body weight in ounces, like, so if I weigh 150 pounds, then the amount of water I should intake in a daytime is 75 ounces. Don't like to drink water, drink it out of a straw. You'll be able to drink 75 ounces if you're that weight like that.
Mm. And, I think that is a huge issue. A lot of people don't like to drink water a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because
I stay with bottles of water or cups of water. I drink water all day long.
Mm-hmm. It's good for you.
That's my thing.
It's I say that all the time. It's good for your skin. It's good for your hair. It's good for I have more hair than you
do. Yeah, that's true.
I have to drink more water.
I really cut mine because of my scar is very long from what happened to me, and I told you what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so because of it, I just feel like I would just rather be bald than to have a whole patch missing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you look good. Some people, there's some people just don't carry bald very well.
Why, thank you, Doc.
Or even, mustache or facial hair. Some people, it's like they don't keep it trimmed.
Yeah, I keep mine clean as much as possible.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. So let's talk about resilience building. What steps can individuals take to build resilience after experiencing significant setbacks or trauma?
I think that, resourcefulness is something that you need to build. Resourcefulness and resilience. And that when you become resourceful, then you have, then you can create and manifest other things happening in your life. So and things that you can do is you can read, go back into reading and read things that appeal to you. Like in self-help, there's a woman named Sonia Kochea, I think her last name is. She writes a book called, about, a lot of self-care and a lot of like self-learning. She's a good source for those kind of books. And then, I'd say reading, like, and read people, like, start trying to read, like 20, like, this is what you can do. Instead of getting, like, sleeping till 10 o'clock, get up at 9 o'clock and read for 20 minutes, and then get up and throw some clothes on, drink water first, exercise second, go out for a 20-minute walk. And then number 3, and that write your journal, like, write down what are the 3 most important things that I need to do today for me. And what are the 3 most important things I need to do for my job? And what are the 3 most important things I need to do for my relationship? So you should come up with like 9 things every day, and then decide that you're going to do 9 of those things before 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right. So, Doc, you have a long day as well. How do you handle it?
Well, people ask me that question all the time. I eat well. I think good thoughts. I do good deeds. And, and I go out of my way to like be happy. I mean, happiness is a choice. And so those are but eating well is huge.
It is. It is.
Because a lot of mental illness, is related to foods. I mean, that and poor foods. I mean, because as soon as something happens, you want comfort food. And most comfort food is really bad for you.
So what foods would you say could help people improve their mental health?
Mediterranean diet.
Okay. A lot
I
of
think
fish.
it's one of the best food styles that are out there. You have a protein, you have vegetables, and stay away from fruit. Fruit's sugar, and it's very difficult to digest. In order for you to digest a fruit, it's got to go. It doesn't happen in your stomach, intestinal tract. It's got to go to your liver, and it stresses the
Right.
liver. And I will tell you, pre-diabetes, eating a lot of fruit and a lot of sugar creates a fatty liver.
Yes. And I had to realize that myself. That's why once I was told, I was like, And to be honest, I come from a family of diabetics, and I didn't want to be the next one.
Right.
So I made
Well,
sure
you
I
can see
did
how
what
well
I
it
had
was
to
out
do to
for them,
reverse
right?
that.
It's just like you can see how, but people don't want to give up what they don't like. They go, oh, I like this. I said, well, what if you just had less of it? And what if you
Yeah,
had it and you had it with this and this instead? Because then you're able to, to assimilate it, and it will be a lot better for you.
that's right. And sometimes we get comfortable in what we're used to. And even when we're told that information, like you said, some people they get that anxiety and depression, and then they start to pick the comfort food even more just because they got the news instead of thinking with the mindset of reverse your situation.
Well, it's always a choice. You're either feeding a disease or you're feeding your health.
That's right. That's right.
Two choices, and so just pick the one that works best for you.
So, what are some mindset shifts that can help individuals who feel stuck in their personal or professional lives?
Believe in yourself. I think you need to have a really sound basis of believing in yourself. And how you do that is you say, I am. You do affirmations like, or ask the question, why is it that I attract really great people? Why is it that I attract, abundance in my life, career, relationships and things like that? I think you have to believe in yourself and start having the self-talk that works instead of the self-talk that's negative.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, what's next for Dr. Pat? Any new books coming?
Well, I've been doing a little research on a book, but I have a program that I'm launching in January. As it stands right now, I've had a couple of big glitches, so it might be delayed a little bit. But it is a facial exercise course, and it's for men and women, and for people. And what it does is because we're all judged by how we look. I mean, whether we want to say like, "Oh, we're all cool," we don't like it's okay. But in the background of your head, you're going, it matters. Like when I'm talking to somebody about. When I'm doing a consult and I'm talking to somebody about their office or something like chiropractic office. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I get this, like I know more than they do, about their own office, and I never worked in it, and just by asking some of those questions. And I think that we have to, and it comes, it's a whole circle of thing, right? And it comes back around from when we first started talking about like what do you do for like self-care, what do you do to stay healthier? You have to.
You hit the button again. You hit the mute button again, Doc. Or it's just keeps doing this.
I didn't touch it. And
I don't know why this is doing this.
So what were we talking about?
The system is crazy. Self-care.
It's just like in taking stock in what you've got going for you, and because nobody else is going to talk about you in the way that you talk about yourself, and so you want people to hear your best self.
Yeah.
And so, and then also like, I can tell you there's a lot of joy that people get in doing random acts of kindness.
Yes.
It's those little things. I mean, it's just like people wonder why their relationships go sour. They stop dating the person that they're supposed to be in love with. And And having, but that the self-talk, the conversation, the relationships, the career, wouldn't it just be great just to have a moment in your life where it all sunk, like everything sank in together perfectly? Wouldn't it be great? Then there's ways in order to get there, but you first have to be willing to do that self-assessment, take care of your health, take care of your mind, and take care of the people in your life who matter the most to you.
Oh, man. So what are early signs of burnout, and how can one prevent it without compromising on their career goals?
You don't sleep well. You also, you're sometimes you're so stressed out, you start getting colds and things like that. You start having accidents because you're not being mindful. People around here laugh. Like every time I drive it, it's night. There's so many deer here, that I always thought I have a conversation before I get in my car. I'm going, no deer, it's just like you stay off the road. And so far, knock on wood, I've been very fortunate. But but I think that, for those pieces, I think I go back to self-talk all the time. I go back to hydration, eating well, thinking well, feeling well. In order to have those, you've got to put effort into it. It doesn't come easy, and it's like, but when you get the hang of taking care of yourself and eating right and thinking right, you don't end up with diabetes. You don't end up hating the world. You don't end up acting out bad behavior. It's just like,
awesome.
and you're doing things to uplift not only yourself, because
But
I truly believe that people, when they heal themselves, they heal the people in front of them, behind them, and around them.
around them.
And that's my kind of
That's
pandemic.
right.
I mean, it's just like, those are the people that make a difference in the world.
Hey, Doc, this was awesome. This was awesome. Thank you for coming on. We're at the 1 hour mark, and I have another guest coming in. But Doc, anything you want to say to the folks before you go?
Well, you can reach out to me on Facebook, for instance, and on my business page, it's Ask Dr. Pat, just like Ask Dr. Pat. No punctuation, no long words. And if we want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, that's a great way to do that. If you want to have a little bit more about me, buy my book, because it is the best book that you'll ever buy in relationship to how you want to do and what you want to do in your life. So every year we all have New Year's resolutions, and most people don't keep them. This is a book that will help you really focus on where your health is, where you need to focus on. It will help you as a guidebook, a workbook, and an advocating tool while you're sick, fat, and tired. And so you can look at like where your issues are at, and then you look at what you got going for yourself, because we always want to know what's going for us, right? And then we can go back and we can look at what the glitches are, and you can fix those glitches. Now, if you do that, you have a complimentary consult with me. After you fill out the questionnaires in it, because there's a lot of questions in it, but those questions will lead you to a point of understanding how to have a conversation with someone.
Doc, where can they find the book?
Amazon. Why Are You Sick, Fat, and Tired?
Okay.
That's the easiest place to find it. And I would tell you to buy the paperback as opposed to, and that the latest edition is the one in red letters.
That's right.
Instagram, you can find me on Instagram just by Dr. Pat Boulogne. Forgot about that.
Dr. Pat Boulogne, y'all heard her. Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Doc, I enjoyed you being on. I thank you so much for coming on. So you can go ahead and turn your camera off, mute your mic, but stay on the line for a second. Okay? Hit your cam button. Folks, Dr. Pat was on. She gave you guys some great information. I received it as well, and I will follow a lot of it. So I hope you guys learned something tonight from Dr. Pat, and go check her book out. Like, listen, she's out here. Like she said, ex Dr. Pat. Okay? Go ask. All right. So, folks, I'll be right back on with my next guest, but you guys keep it locked in. Peace.